going. And get on Facebook. Oh, Lordy, of course it wants me to log in again. See if I can remember anything. Well, hold on just a second. I figure out what my password is. Well, that's what I typed in. Let's see. Okay, we should be good to go. Excellent. All right, so we are starting our meeting. It is our August General Council meeting, and it is 4:08 p.m. So we can start out with some officer reports. Harrison, do you have a secretary's report for us?
Just a note for the next general meeting, which will be on Thursday, October 6th, and that we will send out a reminder for that, and that will send up a follow-up everyone on our mailing list with the video of this meeting, so that they'll get a recording of this to rewatch or revisit in case anything was missed. And I'll put the email address in the chat that if anybody would like to get onto our mailing address, or if they want to follow us on social media, they can do that, or they can reach out to us at Tarrant County Food Policy Council at gmail.com, and we would love to help keep them informed. So that's about it from the secretary today.
Awesome, thank you. Our treasurer is not available today. She got held up at a meeting. Susie, our past chair, is not here either. Catherine, as vice chair, do you have anything to report today?
I only have to report my failing that I forgot to send the survey to you guys to review after our last board meeting. So I will do that this evening. Okay. My apologies.
And that was the engagement survey, right, for members?
Yes.
Awesome. That will be good. And so I guess our members, anyone watching this, be on the lookout for that and provide us with some feedback on how you would like to engage with our group going forward. As a chair's report, I think most everything that I have would be covered in any announcements and other reports that we're going to give today. So I will save all that for that. Dave, would you like to give us a little update from the CGUA group?
Sure. Let me just, I can share my screen real quick. I have the slide up. Okay, there we go. Did everybody see that okay? Yeah, okay. So next meeting, Thursday, September 22nd. Our guest speaker for the meeting a couple weeks ago was Brittany Meyer, and she's the new home horticulture extension agent for Texas AgriLife in Tarrant County. So she runs the Master Gardener program, as well as the Junior Master Gardeners, and a new program, which I'm going to look up the name of, Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go, which is a new curriculum that's focused kind of on for younger kids. But both that and the Junior Master Gardeners fulfill, I'll probably say this wrong, but the TEKS, T-E-K-S, the Texas curriculum requirements, which makes it a little easier for teachers to get involved. But so that was really cool. She just talked about what she does and what she offers. And then Greg Joel was present from Opal's Farm. He's the farm manager there, and they're one of the members of the Grow Southeast Urban Farming Collective here in Fort Worth. And so it was cool to have him. Jesse couldn't make it, so I had a little bit of an update from Jesse about Grow Southeast, but Greg updated us on Opals. And They just graduated their first class of apprentices from Opal's farm. And one of them already has a job. He's going to be the new farm manager at Tabor Farms. And there's Opals and Tabor are sharing a SARE grant from USDA. And then Opals also has a different grant. And so Opals is going to be able to hire an employee, which is going to be cool for Greg. And they're also going to buy a Kubota tractor. So things are going pretty well there. And let me see here. Mary Jo, people may remember that she had a couple potential funders, maybe focused especially on school gardens. And so Home Depot, for example, she talked to, and they really want to work with one particular garden. And so she's thinking maybe one of the Blue Zones gardens that she works with would be a good match with what Home Depot wants to offer. So that's one thing. And then the other potential donor that she'd been talking to basically asked her to check back in the fall. So we'll more to come, TBA about that. Julian Lewis, who some of you may know, some of you may not, but he runs a really cool nonprofit based in Arlington, but they offer after-school programs throughout the Metroplex, particularly for kids of color, low-income kids. And one of the many things they offer, he teaches yoga, he teaches contemplative practice, but another thing that he does, which is how he connects to our group, is he helps establish gardens at some of the schools that he works with, and then develops curricula that can be taught in the gardens. And so he came because there's a new public charter school starting in Stop 6. I think it's called Rocket Ship. And his group, Pura Vida Youth, so they're the fifth bullet on this slide. His group is going to be doing all of the after-school programming for this school. And so starting a garden from scratch, and he's really looking for volunteers. So people who are passionate about working with kids and growing. So he was just here to share about that project and ask for help. And it was cool because Brittany was able to give him some help, and Mary Jo was there, who's one of our school garden champions. So that'll worked out pretty well. And then Lauren had given me a written update on the Growing Healthy Communities Conference, which is she here yet? I don't think so. Okay. So anyway, she was gonna be here and give you an update on that. But basically, it went really well, and bunch of people at the meeting talked about what they got out of the conference. They thought it was great. And one of the things that happened at the conference was a sharing from some of the local community garden leaders about things they need help with. So that's something we're going to circle back to in our group and see if there's something we can help with. So I think that's it. So I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. Okay.
So, Dave, do you mind if I share a little bit about the meeting that some of us were attending that
Go ahead.
We missed that one?
Absolutely.
So a meeting that was scheduled at the same time as the CGUA meeting, unfortunately, was something that probably all of us would have liked to have attended. There was a listening session for the new farmers market and food truck pavilion area that is going in the Stop 6 neighborhood. So several people that usually go to the CGUA meetings were at that meeting. Jesse, myself, Susan, several folks from the food bank and from the Kowtown farmers market, lots of community members, AgriLife was there. There were a bunch of people there. And basically the discussion was around, the Fort Worth Housing Solutions had this funding for this project to put in a farmers market and food truck pavilion, but they are not the experts in that area. So they wanted to get information from people who were. So it seemed like they got a lot of good feedback. We gave them our thoughts on, what would make a really great farmers market, what some things to consider to make it successful for the vendors and the customers, how to make it accessible, all sorts of different things. And so we missed the CGUA meeting for it, but I think there's opportunity there for us to be involved going forward, and potentially the CGUA group helping out with that project. So that was really interesting. Dave, is there anything that CGUA needs help with from the larger council?
Well, so there were two things, and I know Becca, you were working on a page to help centralize volunteer opportunities. Is that? I didn't know if you where that was. So that was one thing.
It's currently live. It's not finished, but it's up there.
Okay.
So I think I was still waiting on a few pictures. I tried to add a few, and then I just have been very busy the last couple of months. So I think I can edit it and send it out to y'all and ask for more links that we should include. So that is on me for next steps there.
Awesome. No, that's great. I was just curious where that was. And then the other thing is to think about how, if we want to start working on that 3G grant program, which is the small garden grants, and we have some pieces started, but I think we're kind of waiting to see what happened with the school garden donor situation. I think that's on hold. So there's no reason we have to put the whole program on hold. So we could think about whether we want to do that. And that'd be, I guess, the fundraising committee for help.
Yeah, I think so. And it seems like we may have some funds of our own to maybe get that started. And if not, we can continue looking for another donor.
Great.
Very nice. All right. Welcome, Raquel. We are just going through our agenda here with some working group updates. Next on the list is Children's Health. Alexandra, do you have an update for us?
See, and here I thought my fancy slide was all ready, and alas. Okay, let me try one other thing. Well, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. All right. Okay, so the Children's Health Working Group, and for those who may be new to the conversation or may need to be refreshed on the conversation, our focus is changing the default beverage on children's meals at restaurants we're starting with Fort Worth with the goal of working our way throughout the county. Currently, many restaurants default to soda for the beverage with children's meals, but we would like to see that not be the case. Whether it be water or 100% juice or milk, but just a beverage that is not sugar sweetened is the objective. This is not the correct slide. I am so sorry. One moment, please. Okay, come on. There we go. Okay, so our last meeting was June 15th, and at that meeting, we did a retrospective of the plan and the action that has been taken in line with that plan. And so that was an opportunity because we have been working on this for such a long time, it was a chance to get everybody in the working group on the same page, whether they have been part of the process from the onset or whether they were newer to the process. We meet as a working group on the third Wednesdays of even months, which means that our next meeting will be on the 17th of this month at 10:30 a.m. via Zoom. And if anybody has more questions about how to join the meeting or about the working group itself, we can be contacted at children'shealth@tarrantcountyfoodpolicycouncil.org, and I will also drop that in the chat. Thank you.
Lovely. Do you need any help from the larger council with any projects you'll have going on?
We will need visuals and some, we would love to have a presence on the website. And so mostly like graphical type of things. And then, you know, once we have all of that, then getting the word out through the channels that we have as a council.
Just from recent experiences working with smaller municipalities in our county, and I know y'all might not be ready to roll out your project yet, but have you thought about maybe starting with a smaller city rather than Fort Worth for this project, just to like test out how it works?
That's certainly something that we'd be open to. I think the initial thinking was that because most of the members of the working group live in Fort Worth, the thought was, oh, well, we know who the members of the council are, we know who the mayor is. But since we started the process, we have a whole bunch of new folks in those seats. So it, you know, it might be just as complicated or easy, even if we did work with another municipality. So that's certainly something for us to look into.
Okay. Yeah, so we've moved the market to White Settlement, the farmers market, and I am just blown away with how much it feels like a small town and how everybody knows everything that's going on and how easy it is to connect with city leaders and people who can make a change. And I know that White Settlement in particular feels like it lacks resources and programs and things to implement. And so they probably just don't get as much attention as Fort Worth does. And so it may be worth reaching out when y'all get to that point.
Thank you.
Sure. Okie dokie. Food recovery. Gina, what you got for us?
Sorry, I could not find my unmute button. I'm out of touch with my Zoom. So our last meeting was June 6th. And at that meeting, we had some newer people that joined us, which was nice. And that was our first meeting back in person since COVID. So it's good to see people in real life. We have a very large room, so we're able to spread out. And so less worry about that kind of thing. And our next meeting is Friday, August 12th. From 12 to 1, that will be at TCU as well. If anyone wants to join or get on the email distribution list, my email address is there, the one that I checked, which is g.jarman@tcu.edu. And I can get you info about where we will meet. Sorry, my dog is walking around clicking all over the floor. At our last meeting, we discussed some partnerships between some new attendees in regards to food recovery opportunities and also some research opportunities that might come from that, as far as like some of the levels of food waste that are being recovered by, for example, the UNT Health Science Center Community Garden getting the food waste from Roy Cook Grocery Store. We have Caitlin Reeves has joined our group, and also Brandon Levy, who teaches at TCU in the Department of Environmental Sciences. So it's nice to see some new people. And I think once the summer is over, we'll probably get some more of our typical folks joining back too. We didn't have a meeting in July probably because so many of our people were out of town. So we're hoping to restart some of the things that we had in the past and look for new opportunities that we can rejoin. And I'm also looking for a co-chair. Brittany Rosenberg has stepped down from that position. And so I would love for someone who's excited to jump into that with me.
And co-chairs can definitely be non-board members. So if anybody watching or listening wants to join in, and if you have an existing working group member who wants to fill that role, that's an option as well. Do y'all need any assistance or resources from the council as a whole?
I don't know of any right now, Becca, but since our meeting is next week, I'll let you know if there's something that other people think about.
Yeah, and I know y'all were wanting a page on the website also at some point. So if you have anything for that, I can even start getting it drafted. Like if you have any information at all, we can start getting that up.
Brittany actually put a lot of stuff together on that, so I need to get that to you.
Okay, I feel like maybe I saw a draft at one point, but whenever y'all are ready for me to start messing with it, I can set
Okay,
aside
that sounds
some
fun.
time.
Thank you.
And can you remind me, are y'all doing more with like on the composting food waste side, or are you still doing some with recovering food that's still good to be eaten, or still doing a little bit of both?
Definitely doing both. It would be nice to have more of the recovering for human consumption, but we still count all of that. I'm doing that inverted pyramid, the EPA pyramid. So we would consider any of that in that pyramid.
Okay.
But definitely more to redistribute. There's so many hurdles, and that's the tricky part. There are even a lot of the things that come from the grocery stores are definitely fit for human consumption. It's just a matter of like sorting it out, and it's a lot of time.
Awesome. Okay, we don't have anyone here from our new policy working group, but I believe they've been working on some things with the urban agriculture ordinance through City of Fort Worth to see if they can connect with Grow Southeast and Jesse Herrera on what changes might need to be made to that ordinance, and try to set some meetings with some people from the city. Dave, you and I were on that meeting, right? It was something like that. Trying to get some next steps to have a conversation about changes that may need to be made. Wonderful. Hi, Lauren. Thanks for joining us. Did you want to, Dave already kind of gave your update from the Growing Healthy Communities Conference. Did you want to add anything to that?
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. Just a big thank you to this group. So many of you were there or presenters or helped us line up presenters. So thank you for your continued support. And I'm so glad that Food Policy Council had a table at the conference. That was a good thing to have this group represented there. So Catherine, thank you for doing that. Becca, thank you for doing that. It was a great conference. A lot of good partnership opportunities have come out of it. So I'm really excited about the good that's going to continue coming from that day.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. Sorry, there was some barking that was about to happen, so I was trying to mute as long as possible. Okay, so next on our agenda is a discussion about the open board member positions. And Susie is not here to share about that, but I can certainly fill in. So Susie, as past chair, is going to lead our nominations committee this time around. As a past chair, she's a non-voting board member, and she has, lots of good insight as far as how the council works, what it means to be a board member, and she, can provide some good information to people who are interested. It's a good role for that past chairperson to do. So that's kind of our plan going forward, but anybody who would like to help her with that, I don't know if she has any help doing that yet, but we do have, we're supposed to be voting on new board members in October. So that means between now and then we need to gather nominations for new board members, discuss any terms that either need to be continued or if anybody is rolling off. And I believe we have several positions that may be open, and I'm going to look at this document before I share it to make sure that it's a good thing to put up on the screen here. Let me see what I've got. Yes, I can share this. Okay. Let's see. So this will look like gibberish probably a little bit. Especially if you're not a board member, but I've kind of highlighted the things that are in question or need to be decided for this next round of voting. So we can just start at the top and go down. So similar to what happened with Susie last year, technically my second term is up, but I still have one more year as chair of the board. So I will have to double check with Susie if we did an official vote on that last year, or if y'all just tell me it's cool if I finish my term as chair, then I can stay on. Let's see here. Who else is next? Harrison, his first term is up, so Susie should be connecting with anybody who is in question on this list about whether they would like to continue as a board member or if they prefer not to. So Harrison and well, Charlie's moving, so he is not going to be a board member anymore. And Gina, your second term is up, so you will be rolling off the board. Brenda can no longer be treasurer, so we will need a new treasurer. And if Harrison decides to stay on as a board member, he can choose to stay on as secretary, or we will potentially need a secretary as well. So potentially 2 major officer positions that need to be filled. So if you're a current board member, you may think about if that's something you would be willing to take on. Or if we have somebody who's nominated and becomes a new board member that is interested in that position. I don't know if there's any, I don't think it's that you have to be a board member first before you're an officer, but I'll double check. But if anybody has those skills or that interest and would like to fill that role, it is definitely needed. And, you know, there's always circumstances where someone may feel like they don't have the capacity to commit anymore to the board, which is always an option to roll off if it's just not working for you anymore. So Susie should be reaching out to everybody. But you can also reach out to her if you have questions or want to discuss anything with her. But we also need some new board members. So if you have working group members or community members that you think would be a great fit to be a board member, we can connect with Susie and figure out how she would like that to happen. Yeah, Alexandra.
Is there so I see that there are 15 slots that are not currently filled. So what is the minimum amount of board members that's required?
That is a great question. I believe it's 9. It's got to be an odd number. It's in our bylaws, and I can look for that. Minimum 9, maximum 15. Always has to be an odd number. So we have at least 2 seats that can, I guess, yeah, they could or could not be filled. We could fill more than that. We could do 2 to 4, potentially more if Harrison decides not to continue. So we kind of need answers first before we know how many seats we have. But generally we'll have some options there. There's not like a hard set number that we need.
Thank you. Maybe we could do something like emailing everyone on the board, honestly, just to kind of remind them how much time they have left, and so that they can, because, you know, some people might have things in the works and they may not realize where they are in their term. Mm-hmm. So just circling with everybody just to kind of, hey, where are you? Are you good to finish your term? Do we need to replace you? So that when we have that election, it can cover all the bases.
Yeah, absolutely. And so really Susie should be leading that. Does anybody want to help her with that? I know she's got a lot going on and might need somebody to help.
I believe I should have the bandwidth to help.
Okay, great. That I will send both of y'all that stuff, the list and kind of what I've outlined just now, and a reminder of some things that need to happen before October. Cool. Thank you, Alexandra. So yeah, start thinking about folks who may be great board members. We can also do an announcement, Harrison, through our email list. We can do a social media post. I believe I have a login for Board Build, which has like a board member job listing type of forum. So we could also post on that. But I know in the past we've wanted to engage with folks who already participate with our group just because they have that familiarity and have done some of the work already. Yeah.
Just check the bylaws to follow up on that, and the minimum number is 3, no less than 3 directors. Yeah, board chairs.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Let's not do that, guys. Oh, but good to know. Good to know. Awesome. Any other thoughts or comments on nominations or anything like that? Okay, cool. Well, we have just over 20 minutes left here. And I would love for us to have a conversation on how we might go about getting some more momentum going and re-engaging with our members. It's been a rough year, a rough couple of years, and we've tried to do some things. We've tried to have some volunteer opportunities, events, meetings in person, and something always seems to happen. So, what are y'all's thoughts? How can we start re-engaging folks without, we're all, we all have a lot going on. So things we can do that don't necessarily add a lot of tasks or responsibilities, but, simple but effective ways. What do y'all think?
So I was going to say something that I've said before, but it does involve just a little bit more of effort. But I would love to see us make more use of our mailing list and social media. I know once upon a time, there was conversation about kind of reinstating or reactivating the blog if members of the board or the council at large perhaps had things they wanted to contribute. That could also be an opportunity to engage folks. Just something to kind of keep us, not even necessarily front of mind, but just to keep us in people's consciousness, even as we don't have these general meetings, they're only every other month. So just ways to keep our mission and our organization in front of people in between the meetings.
Alexandra, that's a great reminder, because at our board meeting, we had discussed a potential newsletter or something similar, a blog, a newsletter, something that goes out in between board meeting or general meetings, and the CGUA group already has a newsletter that goes out monthly. So Dave, I know y'all had a brief conversation about that, or at least presented the idea in the last meeting. Can you remind me what that group's thought is on potentially sharing that newsletter? So it's not adding more work, but maybe just changing it slightly? So,
I mean, basically, I talked about it, and we didn't have a lot of time in the meeting to discuss it, but there's the one question is, the newsletter so far has been about gardening and farming, and so people who are into that look forward to the newsletter because that's what it's about. So if it's not going to be that, then we'd have to think about how to keep people actually engaged in reading it. And I would also have to get that content. And I know that even as it is, it's a struggle to get the content for the CGUA newsletter. So that would be a bigger ask if it becomes Food Policy Council wide. But I don't know. That's kind of weird. That's about where we were at with it. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to add extra work, but we also don't want to take away from the work that's being done already. So I guess my original thought after the board meeting was Harrison and I kind of manage the CGUA newsletter. We're on the communications committee. We could potentially do both and do an every other month for each one. But yeah, would that be discouraging to those folks who really enjoy the gardening and farming part of it? Or would it
you know, could it be just an additional thing that goes out? And so I think it's a good option. Yeah, does anybody else have any thoughts on that? I don't know who gets to make that decision and how that goes forward.
Well, I would also wonder, would anybody want to help with the general council-wide newsletter? Is there anybody that's itching to help edit and collate content and write?
Well, I would say that could be definitely the communications committee could work on that and like spend time in that meeting we have once a month, like just designated to writing if need be, or having the information collected. And then two, if we do get a Vista and that is all successful and that goes on, that's a great job for the Vista to do too.
Totally agreed.
Yeah, my thought on the council-wide newsletter would be that we would get a little snippet from each working group. Like, so if y'all haven't seen the CGUA newsletter, we have, you know, set sections. And so it's the same type of content each month. We have a news section, events, we do a recipe, we have, you know, garden to-do list for the month, and then resources that are related to gardening. So if we set up a similar thing for council-wide, and we say, hey, children's health, find us 2 news articles that are related to work you're doing. Same thing, you know, we could plug in routine things so that you're looking for the same information each month, and have kind of a section related to each working group, or, you know, different content area that the council as a whole cares about.
And we could, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think too, maybe this does get re-engagement with members too, as a lot of them are always looking for like free networking opportunities or free advertising opportunities for their events and things like that. And we do have maybe that event section where we allow members to submit their event happening that month.
I agree, and that could be a great place to advertise our own volunteer opportunities and to invite people to come out and engage in that way. But also to follow up on Becca's comment, if you haven't seen the CGUA newsletter, you should. You're missing out. It's great. We have a lot of fun writing and editing that each month. Dave, I wonder how many people see that? How many people does that go out to roundabout?
Everybody who's on our email list, which is, I'd have to count up, but my feeling it'd be 50-ish, something like that. And then of course, I know people also forward it on. So I think it goes farther than just our email list.
Thanks.
That would be another great social post, just to send people to the newsletters, CGUA, and also the new one if that happens.
And admittedly, we have slacked a little bit on the social media posts because we had Destiny doing it for a little while. And so we got off of our routine of assigning somebody to it. But to that point, yes, we need to get back on social and do more of just linking people to things that already exist, that we have. And to Catherine's comment about vistas, I had a good conversation with Baylor the other day about having another vista. We discussed how the experience we had this last year was not ideal, and it wasn't for any of us, I don't think, them or us. And so we talked about some ways that we could do better if we were to get another vista, which I believe they are trying to recruit for at the moment. We talked about having the Vista position have an office type setting with another Vista somewhere else, since none of us really have an office this person can go to. And I'm not having them out at my house at the farm. So we talked through some things that would probably make it more successful. And I feel like as a council, we learned a lot, and are maybe set up to succeed a little bit more with a new Vista. So we may have some more help that can help with these things regularly, but until then, you know, if we want to get a few things going, I think all of these are great ideas on how to, just like you said, Alexandra, just keep us front of mind for people and let them know that we're here with some resources.
I'll just toss out one other thing that we talked about a while ago, and that is having gardener farm tours. Obviously not right now, it's too darn hot, but in the fall, something that would be helpful, maybe for somebody who's new and wanting to get buzz around their new farm, or maybe somebody who's really well established and is doing something really cool that they could feature and then share with others. Maybe they've got a great composting program, or they do bees, or whatever it is that's going well, where they engage kids. I mean, it could be anything. So they obviously there's all kinds of complications with that, and getting people to a site. What's the pandemic going to be doing? But I see a positive being is it would be outside, which is safer pandemic wise. And it might be that there's people who'd like to go and see that who wouldn't want to sit in a meeting and listen to us talk, which, would be shocking, but still they might enjoy doing something else. So I don't know how to make that happen. I'd be happy to bring it up at our next CGUA meeting, but it's just an idea that we as a council talked about a while ago that we could revisit if we wanted.
I would love to have people out to the farm, and can volunteer to be the first person to host one of those if we want that to happen. So I think go ahead.
So I think that might be a great opportunity as well to host the in-person tours, but potentially also make a 2 to 5 minute video that is a little virtual tour experience, kind of as a highlight. And that could be something that is featured on website, social, and really get some more attention to those locations, and also to Food Policy Council.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I guess we can connect kind of education and events, communications, and CGUA might be able to tag team that one and get the pieces in place to make that work in October sometime. Let's do it. And I feel like if other working groups are able to participate in that, we could even have, information about working groups or some sort of demonstration, or I don't know. Anyways, I think it could be a whole collaborative thing.
Another example of something we could do, or I should say now I can't remember the words I just used. An example of something we could do, forget I didn't say anything before, is, for example, September is it Hunger Awareness? I don't want to miss.
Hunger Action Month.
Thank you. And so that should be a month where we're posting on a very regular basis. Things are potentially in the works for a way that we as a council can engage in that month. But even, outside of what we are doing directly, that would be a great opportunity to, link articles and things like that, because a lot of folks don't even know that month exists. So, yeah.
Harrison and Alexandra, were y'all working on a time that the board can volunteer at Taste? Was that still happening?
We just met yesterday about it. Alexandra came in to have a good lunch and chatted for a bit. So working on that, and that may be something that we're able to figure out soon. Yeah. Okay. More info soon. I'll send an email out to the board.
I'd also like to echo and emphasize that when he said that it was a good lunch, because so good.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Something that we might want to consider long-term is to have like an intern position that's unpaid. So the visit that was a gift, basically. But if we had something like that we could post at, UTA, TCU, TCC, places like that, maybe we could get students for a full academic year, and they could be the ones writing the blogs, and then the communication committee could actually edit. So it's not as much of a time issue, and then the student gets the benefit of having that actually, that intern kind of thing on their resume.
That's a great idea.
I don't know what kind of hoops we'd have to jump through if it's just like, hey, let's do that. And
Yeah, just
Take
time to
time.
develop. That's a great way to engage too. I don't know if anyone saw the student ambassador article in the Star Telegram for Opal's Farm that was featured maybe on Tuesday of this week. It came out, but it really highlighted a lot of the benefits from exactly what Gina's talking about and how that could be productive for us too. I'll see if I can find it and post it in the chat so everyone can see.
Yeah, and if anybody knows how to get something like that started, you mentioned some hoops we might have to jump through. But yeah, if there's, how do you go about starting an intern program or I guess signing on to be a site where interns can go to?
In my opinion, at least, if it's just an internship for us that students aren't actually earning credit, I think it would just be writing the job description, typing, and determining who they would report to, which would be the biggest thing, so they wouldn't just feel alone and not know who to ask questions of. And deciding how that, what the expectations are, who should they report to, and so on. And then after that, I think we could just distribute it to various locations, people that we know, also put it on our website, and just make it very clear that it's not.
Okay, awesome. Would anyone care to take, I'm trying to figure out where that fits in as like whose responsibility that might be. Would anybody be interested in maybe trying to draft something up about an intern? What our job description might be?
I think that might be something that we talk about to determine what we would expect of them instead of having, that's just, I can say, sure, I'll do it, but I don't know that my expectation of an intern is the same as the whole thing. But I'm happy to start something. Okay.
Yeah, and if anybody's interested in helping with that or, has some, I've got a little experience working with interns, but, if anybody wants to kind of lead that project and bring it back to the group with some information to discuss and work out, that would be great.
I'll draft something brief and then just send it out to all y'all.
Okay.
Yeah. Not this week, but
yeah,
this month.
When you've got some time, that'd be great. Cool. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left. We have a lot of great ideas on ways we can re-engage. I think some easy ones are, get us out there more social media is a good start. And then we can kind of work through some details on blogs and newsletter potentials. Yeah, other things being volunteer opportunities and farm tours. So I think we've got a good list. If we can get some things rolling, get us a little momentum, I think that will help the other things fall into place. Okay. Awesome. Great discussion. Next, I have on our agenda announcements, comments, or ideas. So does anybody have any announcements or events or things coming up or anything they need help with?
So I'll just mention this, and Gina, maybe you should be the one mentioning this rather than me, but there's a group of faculty at TCU who are kind of wanting to engage with each other and with community about food justice issues. And Omar Harvey, who's worked a lot with Opal's Farm and others, is involved. And we're at the talking stage, I think, at this point. And I think September 22nd, we have some kind of event set up, but I'm not clear. I suggest having people from local nonprofits come and present to students so they have a clue about who's doing this work and what they're doing and all that. But so that may, obviously, that faculty group would want to engage with the Food Policy Council. So I don't know where that's going to go, but it may go somewhere. So Gina, feel free to fill in. I'm sure I missed a lot, but
I don't know any more than you mentioned. Yeah, I'm not sure if that date's set in stone.
I can announce that Kowtown Farmers Market has our new location, and we will have our first market at that location this Saturday, August 6th. We are going to be at Veterans Park in White Settlement. We are excited. It's a beautiful location, y'all. Just way nicer than a random parking lot in a strip mall, which is where a lot of farmers markets are, and it's fine. But we were very lucky to find this site. The city of White Settlement has been fantastic to work with. If you see an electronic billboard with our advertisement on it on 820, I would love to know, because I look for it every time I drive by and I haven't seen it yet. But there is a covered pavilion with some picnic tables in it where people can sit and rest. There's restrooms that are always open and everybody can use them. It's right by the water park. There's a walking path, a fishing pond, and it's just a really great spot, really close to 820 and Clifford Street. So pretty accessible by vehicle. I was chatting with Jesse about there's not a public transit line that goes through there. So may need to see if we can work on somebody helping us out with that. But it'll be the same great Kowtown Farmers Market that you know and love. All of our vendors are coming with us. We'll still do SNAP, Double Up, and the WIC Farmers Market Nutrition Program vouchers, and hopefully have room to expand. We are going to settle into our spot and make sure that we've got things under control before we add new folks, but we'll still be there. So if y'all want to come see us, we'll be there starting this Saturday. And then we do have a National Farmers Market Week Festival next weekend on the 13th with a few extra community organizations who will be there with us. Any other announcements or updates? Harrison, y'all got anything going on at Taste?
You know, we've got a month left of the summer menu, and we've got Hunger Action Month coming up. We've got National Everybody Eats Week at the end of the month, which we kind of participate with other pay what you can cafes around the country. A couple of dozen of them out there. Both are just great opportunities to raise awareness about food insecurity and what we can do about that as individuals and as a community. So those are on the horizon, and just serving good food and trying to stay cool, you know, beyond that. So lots of opportunities to serve for anybody out there, and hopefully we'll be able to get the board out together volunteering on a day soon too. That's about it.
Awesome. Anything from City of Fort Worth or Red Cross?
The City of Fort Worth Community Action Partners is still, well, always accepting applications for assistance. It is always, you know, worthwhile to apply. The grant funding can vary, but the key to applying successfully, I will say that the volume of applications received is very high, so it can take a while for services to be rendered. However, the most effective way to apply is to ensure that you really do read the fine print about the documentation that's required. So then that way your application can go straight through, as opposed to, you know, being on hold for missing documents. And a person can either pick up a paper application from a community center, or can go online to fortworthtexas.gov/CAP for Community Action Partners.
Thank you. Catherine, you got anything?
I do not, but I do want to take a moment to tell everyone in this group how grateful I am for your genius every day, because while the Red Cross has started this new food security initiative, it is very, very new for them. And they hear my wild ideas all the time. And I get these wild ideas from the creative, wonderful people that I work with in this council, and they love it. And so don't be surprised if I reach out to you and ask you to come speak to a group of strangers, because we are building community resilience in 8 counties across the nation, and we're looking for really strong, great program ideas, and we have some great ones in this council. So I may be tapping you on the shoulder and asking you to come talk to these groups. So thank you, guys. Love working with you.
Lauren, do you have anything, any updates at Taren Area Food Bank?
Definitely visit farmers markets and neighborhood markets. Encourage families that you know who are have WIC vouchers to go and redeem those at the markets. We will have another planning your community garden training coming up soon, and when that date is set, I'll make sure that's shared out so that we can get that on social or shared out through our community garden and urban agriculture working group.
Bree, do you have anything from American Heart?
Sorry, I'm coming off mute. So we are currently working on a couple of school food pantries that will be around Tarrant County, honestly. And so we will have some more information to share just around volunteer opportunities, ways to donate and get involved with these school food pantries. So that will be up and coming in the next couple of months.
Fantastic. We will be happy to share that information when you have it. Awesome. All right. Does anyone have anything else for us today? All right. Well, that ended up being a really great, productive meeting. Thank you all for being here and for the great conversation and ideas. And I think we can get a little momentum going. And I will follow up about nominations, but be thinking about folks who might want to be a board member. And we'll get those nominations into Alexandra and Susie. All right, y'all have a wonderful evening. Great to see you all as always. Bye, everyone.